Another example of the resiliency of Ukrainian defense forces is the surprisingly lethal impact its use of relatively cheap drones has had on Russian forces. This video, posted on Twitter by a journalist in Turkey, shows a Russian missile launcher sitting in the open. Suddenly, it's consumed by a huge fireball. That was a work of a Turkish-made TB2 drone. The unmanned drone can hover over tanks and destroy them, seemingly with devastatingly accurate missile fire. So why are Ukraine's cheap, slow drones so successful against Russian targets? For that, let's bring in NBC News correspondent covering national security and intelligence, Ken Dilanian. Ken, explain. And how effective have they been? How many Russian targets have they been able to take out?
Good morning, Mika. We don't know the answer to that for sure, but a U.S. defense official briefed reporters yesterday and said they had used these weapons the Ukrainians had to great effect against the Russians. One expert has tracked as many as 30 individual strikes against Russian vehicles. And the reason this is so confounding to experts, we knew the Ukrainians had about 20 of these small drones before this conflict. And when I would ask military experts about their impact, they would say, oh, don't even think about those. The Russians will make quick work of that weapon system. They can jam them with electronics, and if they can't do that, they can shoot them down because they fly so slowly, like 110 miles an hour. Once again, the experts overestimated the competence of the Russian military because this system is flying in Ukraine and it's hitting Russian vehicles, including the very missile systems that are supposed to be able to take it down. And what's remarkable about this drone system is that, you know, we're all used to the Reaper and Predator drones that the U.S. military and the CIA flies. They fire Hellfire missiles. Those are $30 million a piece. These drones cost about $1 to $2 million. They fire small missiles. And one big question is, what is the U.S. doing to make sure that the Ukrainians are resupplied with this weapon system? A defense official said yesterday they're working to do that, didn't offer any specifics. Turkey, which is trying to remain neutral in this conflict, appears to have sold them some more systems at the beginning, according to the Ukrainian defense minister. But some people are wondering, why aren't we rushing more of these kinds of weapons? There's another type of drone called the kamikaze drone, Mika, which is actually like a flying bomb. It's a guided missile that could be even more effective in large numbers by the Ukrainians, because unlike the javelins, which you have to get pretty close to a tank with a javelin, you can launch these kamikaze drones from up to 8 miles away. So remember that long convoy of vehicles. That could have been decimated.
Yeah, let me ask you that question, Ken. A lot of people that are watching, I bet everybody that's watching right now is going, why aren't we supplying more of these?
Well, you know, I had a conversation with a Hill staffer about a U.S. system called the Switchblade, which is a kamikaze drone that the U.S. military fields, but it's not approved for export anywhere except the United Kingdom. So there is a concern about sharing this technology. But this is pretty old technology, like 10 years old. The Russians have a version of this. The Chinese have it. The Israelis make some kamikaze drones. So they are available on the market. And it's a great question why more haven't been sent to the Ukrainians. You know, there is some training involved in using these systems, Joe. And there's actually been reports that that Turkish military advisors have been on the scene to help the Ukrainians operate these drones. But open question why more have not been sent.
So, Ken, what administration put to me is that also a lot of these Russian targets are sort of sitting ducks. They're taking no real effort to try to hide themselves, you know, obscure heat sources or anything like that, and therefore these drones can just pick them off. And it goes to part of one of the more confounding mysteries of this entire conflict: Russia's inability to secure the skies. What have officials you've talked to, why do they think Russia has not been able to control the airspace over Ukraine?
You know, it's a great mystery. One theory is that the initial operation was really not normally the way the Russians fight. It was like a pinprick. It was such a small effort that Putin thought he was going to topple the regime by sending in sort of cursory forces. And they didn't bring in all the air defenses that they normally operate with. They didn't do the electronic jamming that people thought they were capable of. And so they don't have the basic air defenses. They have not been able to achieve air superiority such that they can't even take these lumbering, small, non-stealthy drones out of the air, Jonathan.